The amount of times you guys have reached out to me to tell the second part of this story has been literally insane. The amount of you guys have emailed me and came to my Twitch streams and told me when I was live to make the Maid Part 2 story. Well, here it is. But before we get into that, as usual, like I just said earlier, I am currently live on Twitch as we speak right now as I'm telling the story. So click in the description down below and go ahead and watch me live. And on top of that, let's finish this story of the Maid Part 2. What is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another crazy story. So this story takes place back when I was in middle school. Oh, wait a minute. I already said that in the first part of the story. By the way, if you guys didn't watch the first part of the story, I highly advise it because it's a continuation of what happened from then till now. So like I was explaining after that part, I knew there was a deeper secret to my maid. I knew there was something wrong with her. Ever since she stole my underwear, I knew that something was absolutely just terrifying. But it wasn't until 2 weeks later I found out she had a deeper secret. But of course, it didn't come straight away. I remember as weeks went on, me and her, we never really got along. She would come over, she would always look at me, stare me down, and well, I would just keep doing the same old me stuff. For example, play video games or go downstairs and eat something in the kitchen or just do the basic child things that I would do in middle school. Now, reminder, in middle school, I never had really any focus on women other than my middle school crush, but she's a whole different story to tell. I remember one time I was sitting in the living room watching some TV and I was just eating my sandwich that I was made earlier for my mom. My mom wasn't home nor my dad because they both went to work at the time. And I remember I was just eating my sandwich, but then something odd happened. I remember I ended up hearing my maid on the phone call with some random person. At first, I was like kind of curious of what was going on, but I kind of tried to ignore it. But then she came into the room I was in and still was on the phone. And she said something like this. Oh yeah, like, no, I'm just taking care of like their kid. And then like, I'm just like cleaning up the place. But like, if you want to come help me clean, that'll be cool. What? You're bringing someone to help clean my house? What? I was so confused. And I remember I turned around over the couch and I said, what do you mean you're bringing someone else? At first, my thought was a guy. I was worried it was going to be some other guy. And I was ready to go get my phone and call my mom just to catch her in the act of bringing another person over. But then I remember my maid looks at me and says, oh, don't worry, kiddo. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like, she's actually like really awesome. She said she. So if she said she, that means she's bringing another maid over. So you're telling me I'm gonna have two hot maids in my house and I have nothing to do? Now this is where it gets weird. I remember out of curiosity, I started like basically eating my sandwich as quick as I can, turning off the TV and went upstairs to my room. This time I was gonna catch her in the act of doing something weird, but I had no idea what. My first intention was to text my mom saying, Mom, she's bringing another person over. This is dangerous. But if it was just another maid, wouldn't that be beneficial to clean the house faster? I don't know. I didn't know what to think at the moment. So I remember I ended up just kind of sitting in my room looking off my balcony because, you know, I was beside the balcony because I had a cool window and looking out for the other maid. This other maid came in a black SUV and instantly came out of this vehicle after like 20 minutes later. The other maid was still in the house just dusting things off. And then I remember when this maid came out of her car. Oh my goodness. If I could mention how big her cherries were, I would, but I don't think they would fit the screen of this video. Anyways, I remember she started entering my house and as I was just looking out my window staring her down, a hand touched my shoulder. It was my other maid. The other maid that originally was working there in the first place looks over at me and says, she's hot, isn't she? And I'm like, what? I wasn't staring at that. What are you talking about? And she looks over at my Xbox and she's like, well, you weren't playing your Xbox off. Yeah, I was about to turn it on is what I said to her, but she wasn't gonna believe me. So I remember out of curiosity, I had no idea what to do. I was panicking left and right. So I remember I decided to basically tell her, I'm just playing games, okay? Just go get out of my room. And then she said, whatever you say, and walked out of my room. Now, at first I thought that was just it, but knowing I had two maids downstairs and one of them I didn't know at all and the other one my parents hired, well, this story was only gonna get more interesting. I remember I was basically just sitting down and playing my Xbox, and I remember I decided to leave my room to go take a shower because, well, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stank that day because of school. I went and took a shower, and then I remember I hear the maids come upstairs from the bathroom. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't wearing anything at this moment. I was just in the bathroom getting ready, about to take a shower. But I remember I ended up putting on a towel around my waist, and I decided to say, what is going on? I need to find out what's happening. So I decided to put the towel on, and I went out and I went straight to my room. When I went into my room, I realized that both of the maids were in there at the same time. I remember one of the maids turns around and she's like, oh, we haven't met yet. Hi. And then she gives me her hand and I shake her hand. But as I shake her hand, I'm not gonna lie, I was only staring at one thing, and you guys know what. And the other maid looked at me and said, oh my God, Bubba, I can see you're literally staring. I look at her and I'm like, what do you mean staring? I wasn't staring at anything. Why are you being so weird? Then, I'm not gonna lie, it became really awkward. I was kind of embarrassed because I was just wearing a towel at the time. So I remember they both looked at me kind of weird and said, so like, are you gonna like take a shower or are you just here to like take off your towel in front of us? I remember I looked at both of them. I'm like, no, that's not the case. I'm gonna go take a shower. Leave me alone. And I left my room and went to the shower. But as I was showering, I remember I ended up hearing a, oh my goodness, no way this is actually right here. My head started like booming. I was thinking, what the hell did they find? So I remember I ended up getting my towel back on again when I was about to turn on the shower and literally run straight to my room. I said, what'd you guys find? She pulls something out of under my bed, and I'm embarrassed to say this, honestly, guys. I don't really want to say this part, but it goes with the story. She found a towel, but this was no ordinary towel, folks. This was my devil's cream towel. Yeah, very embarrassing. I remember the maids were both picking it up, and one of them even decided to smell it. Like, they weren't grossed out by it at all. They were just like sniffing it, looking at it as if it was like some kind of like candy. I remember I looked at her and I'm like, stop touching that. I remember I grabbed it from her hand and I instantly took it to the shower with me, or to the bathroom with me. I didn't take it in the shower. That would be weird. Out of pure embarrassment, I remember I was so embarrassed to the point where I was like, okay, this is getting way too weird. I don't want them in my room anymore, because for God's sakes, I don't know what else they could find. So I remember I went back into my room afterwards, after my shower, and I realized that they weren't in my room. I remember I got changed quickly and I went inside and went to go out and look for them. When I looked around the house for them, I couldn't find them anywhere, until I said, oh, maybe they left. Maybe they left early. So I went upstairs to my room, and when I went in my room, I heard a noise inside the bathroom that I was just in after my shower. And one thing I realized that I forgot, I left my devil's cream towel in there. Now this is where things get really bad. I remember when I went to go look for my towel and grab it, the maid was already in there, but not the maid that was originally in there. It was some other maid, the other maid that, you know, came to the house recently. I remember I look at her and I'm like, hey, I'm just looking for something. Have you seen it? She looks at me with like a smile and she's like, yeah, the other one took it home. What? What'd she take? She looks at me with like a smile and she's like, you know what she took. Don't be weird. And then after that, she went out of the bathroom. She went out of the bathroom. She finished up downstairs, and then I heard a knock on the door. At this point, I was terrified and I'm like, okay, who in the world is here now? I don't like this. I went downstairs. I opened the door and I saw it was my parents. My parents just both came home from work at the same time, apparently, out of nowhere. And I was fully dressed and I was going to tell them that the maid stole something else. But how in the world do you tell your parents that your maid stole your devil's cream towel? Like how? Like literally how? So I remember I decided to literally just let it go. I knew that something was up with this maid. And then I remember the other maid, that new maid, came downstairs and saw my parents and said, oh, hi, I'm just a replacement for now, just in case. I'm going to be helping out a bit. The other one had to leave early for an inconvenience. As she said inconvenience, she stared me down and I was weirded out. I didn't know what to think. I honestly was in like that state of, oh my God, I'm gonna die kind of state. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know what happens next, because what happened next happened a month later. Yes, I had a maid for almost 3 months. Okay, leave me alone. My parents weren't rich. We just had a dirty house all the time. But other than that, I mean, we're gonna put a pause to the story there because the story is getting too long. If you guys do want the final part and the third final part, and I promise you guys this, I'm not gonna extend it anymore. But did I mention to leave a like and subscribe to the channel? Because seriously, if you guys do, and let's say this video crushes 3,000 likes, then sure, I am down to give the third part. Why not? But fair warning, this part does get intense. Also, on top of that, did I mention I'm live on Twitch as well? Click the link down below, watch me live, and come talk to me and hang out with me, and maybe I'll tell you guys the next part live on Twitch. Other than that, like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.
Let's go. Should I make it a story? Let's click record. Got that TikTok with 2 mil hit different with some more.